Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our session to analyze the CLAT 2023 paper, which just happened today. And I am Harshita Jhunjhunwala. I am from the 2015 batch of NUJS. And today I'll be discussing this paper along with Arnav Mathur. So Arnav is one of our alumni, and he recently gave the CLAT paper of 2022, and he scored a rank of 149 and is currently studying at NALSAR University. So welcome, Arnav, to our live session. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So Arnav, I would love to hear from you the take on the 2023 CLAT paper. I hope you got the opportunity to go through it.
Yeah, I've
Everyone
been
is
through
super excited, to see the CLAT paper ki kya aaya is baar, and to understand. So first, give us your understanding on how you analyze the CLAT paper, because when the paper comes every year, we see so many videos going live कि ऐसा पेपर था, इसमें इतने स्कोर आने चाहिए, लेकिन इसके पीछे आप क्या एनालिसिस करते हो उसके बारे में हमें थोड़ा बताओ, because there has to be some solid background to it.
Right. So what I feel CLAT is mostly a time bound paper. So if I give you the CLAT paper and I ask you to solve it in say 30 hours, you'll be able to do it very simply.
Yeah.
But the entire difficulty comes through because of the time bounds. So it is very important that when we sit down to analyze any question for that matter, we should understand and we should try to analyze it with respect to the time it takes to solve it.
Correct.
So what I have done and what both of us were discussing as well is for every section and for every question, we should analyze with how much time it takes. The more the time it takes to solve, we consider it to be more difficult. So again, just to repeat myself, time is the most important factor.
Time is the essential factor in this paper.
Yeah.
The difficulty is analyzed basis that, according to you.
Yeah. So I think we should start. I'll give just my feelings about what I felt and what I analyzed section wise. So first I'll talk about the English section. The English section was more or less similar to last year's pattern. It was a little lengthy than what we had faced.
Okay.
Lengthy in comparison of the passages that were asked. But if you looked at the questions that were asked, almost out of the 5 questions that were asked, 1 or 2 were very direct questions.
Simple questions, simple to answer.
Questions. Yeah.
So answering them would not take so long.
It won't take time. So if you were asked a synonym or a metaphor, then it was really easy for you to just either the answer or you don't know the answer.
Correct.
So the amount of time that you need to spend on those questions was pretty less. So if you had this sort of strategy where you were looking at saving time and getting more marks per minute, then I think English would have been relatively
the
easy.
go-to section per section. So we've discussed this previously also, after the A-Lit paper and in a lot of sessions that we've done, that the strategy that students should follow in a competitive exam like CLAT and A-Lit, where time is of concern, time is the factor, कि जो easy sections है, जहाँ आपको लगता है marks मिल सकते हैं, पहले उसको खत्म करो, and then go to the difficult sections and to the sections where, you can really, you feel that you have to spend time, because then you can judicially use the time.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly that
so
point.
English, according to you, is one section where I think we can start off with and collect as many marks as possible. तो आपका confidence भी बढ़ेगा कि हाँ, we've done a section and marks आ गए हैं उसके.
Right. So you could have capitalized on English as well as logic also. So logic is the section that I found the easiest in the entire paper.
Cool. Okay.
It was the most scoring. So whenever someone prepares any logical reasoning question, they first prepare the right answer and then they approach in creating the wrong answer.
Correct.
Now, when you're trying to analyze a question, you look at how close the other answers are.
Right.
The closer they are, the more difficult the paper gets.
Yeah.
But if you just use the elimination tactic in all of the questions, it is fairly simple to answer. So logic is one thing.
What, according to you, was a good score for logical this time?
I think 20 to 22 would be a good score out of 30 in logic, and you could capitalize a lot in it. also, I found one minor or major change depending on what your strategy was in logical section. We had 6 passages with 5 questions each, but from what I found, there were 5 questions with 6. There were 5 passages.
5 passages, right, and 6 questions. So
So
you have to read a little less.
You have to read a little less, and you can, once you've read it completely and analyzed it, then it was fairly simple.
It becomes more scoring
for you to answer.
Right. And English I feel, after going through the paper, that around 20 should have been a good score.
Yeah.
Easily achievable here to get.
Anything touching 20 would be perfect.
Right. Nice. So similarly, I had the opportunity to look at the legal reasoning paper also, the legal reasoning section. And what I found from that was we have a lot of current news regarding legal that is coming up in the paper. So you have a lot of articles that they've picked up from The Wire, from News Laundry. They've picked up, very current news affair items like judgments on cruelty. So it is very relevant for students not only to concentrate on, your typical contract law, constitutional law, and criminal law, but also to look at these articles and speed up their legal reasoning, reading speed, because that I think will really come in handy.
Yes. Just to add to that, I also found that the core legal concepts were not really asked. It was not.
They weren't asked. Exactly.
And
So contract, constitutional, criminal, ऐसे तो कुछ आया ही नहीं है core concepts जैसे मैंने बोला. And आपके questions were also very easy to answer. If you read the passage, you can directly answer the question because the answer is given in the passage. So nothing outside the passage was asked. So
it was a very skill-based,
right. Your pre-knowledge requirement was little less. You just have to be familiar with the reading speed and familiar with the words. Then you can answer.
Here's where I just like to add that if someone was trying to capitalize on their previous knowledge, they would have found this section a little difficult because again, you have to again read everything, then understand it and then apply it in the question. One thing that I found different from CLAT 2022 was that in CLAT 2022, if the factual matrix flowed through the question. So one question, then the other question was a slight twist on the
previous one, right? Here it was completely different.
So yeah, here every question was completely different. So that would have taken a lot of time. So it's again time that made this section a little difficult.
Right. Also, I feel that, having knowledge or having basic idea about concepts which are a little different from our core legal concepts like consumer protection, intellectual property, arbitration, these will help students going forward because this year जैसे आपका consumer protection आया, उसके ऊपर एक question आया. So one has to be aware of these terms and little bit about them, not only concentrate on your contracts, criminal, constitution.
So wide variety is completely.
Have a reading variety, wide reading variety. And I think in a legal, a good score of 30 to 32 should have been a good score in the legal section.
Yeah, I think even a little less than that would make sense considering the time factor. It depends on where you have stuck.
You're getting stuck.
Yeah, you're getting stuck and where you've decided to place the legal section in the order of your
priority order. Right. What about GK, Arnav? Did you have an opportunity to look at that?
Yeah, well, GK, I think anyone
who's a crowd favorite
has given this paper would know how GK was. It was, in my opinion, the events that were asked were irrelevant. And I mean, they were not
in the... That is expected of CLAT. CLAT hasn't disappointed in that.
Yeah, I think CLAT has stuck to its pattern of asking, irrelevant GK. They did this with our batch as well. So I think the major factor that would play in GK is that if you just knock off the questions that you know, don't think about it and move on. That is all you can do. And anyone who is still feeling that they've not scored well enough in GK, I think for me, even if you get a score of 15 to 20, it's amazing.
Nice. Right. And also I feel that GK section provides a very good break If you're, dealing with, say, a legal reasoning section or a logical reasoning where you're reading these big lengthy passages and you're really feeling fatigue, just move on to the GK section, do a few questions, come back to your legal reasoning or logical reasoning. That will really help you to take a break also and utilize time also.
Exactly. Yeah.
And maths again was, I feel, a googly section this time, because there were so many questions and sub questions that came. Main topics being percentages and averages, but the sub questions within those questions is what made it difficult.
Exactly. And QT was again another section that was tougher than expected. It was tougher than what we had faced compared to previous years as well, because in previous years, if you just make the table, whatever, through the data analysis, through the data getting, if you just make the table, the answer matrix, you'll be able to solve the question in like minutes. But here, even after creating an answer matrix, you still had to do a bit of calculation to get the
final answer, right? And I think that is where the students, presence of mind is very important while giving the paper, because you have to understand which sections are easy and attempt those sections first. And, not dwell upon the tough sections and spend time there, because these sections, see, the CLAT paper is made such that the student finds it a bit difficult. It is not supposed to make your life easier or simpler. It is supposed to make your life difficult. So please, understand the questions and do those which you think are solvable, and don't dwell upon those questions which are, difficult or which may take time, because that will throw you off.
Correct. That sums up quite nice.
And I think even a score of 5 in maths this time would have been a good score, considering how, complicated the sections were.
I think there was just one particular passage that could have been done in normal exam conditions and time that was provided. The rest too would take considerable amount of time.
Exactly.
Which then again, you could have, if the same time was then provided to, say, legal section or logical section, you would
end up scoring more marks.
So
Absolutely.
I think that would be a better strategy.
Judicious use of time is important again. Coming back to, I think time is what is flowing through all our conversations today.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that sums up the paper, and it is, the general analysis is something that we've managed to do in these few minutes, and we've predicted for you what could be a good score, what cannot be a good score. So why not end this session, Arnav, with some advice or general guidance you would like to share with your students, with our students over here, because you've just given CLAT, and coming from you who's been through it, and some strategies that helped you, that would really help our students in their attempts, and in understanding CLAT, or whoever's watching this video with the aim to attempt CLAT next year, to help guide them.
Sure. So I'll talk about step by step. The first thing, CLAT 2023 for me was moderately difficult. It was not easy by any chance. So that's one bit. The second bit, the second advice that I'll give to anyone who just gave the paper is that whenever the answer key comes, now this is a mistake that I made during my time, so I can share it properly. What I did that as soon as the answer key came, I just started correlating and started marking myself. And I ended up getting a final score of 70. And I was devastated. Like, I couldn't believe that this was my score. But then I went through the question paper again that they had provided. And I found out that all of us had different sets.
Yes.
And they give answers according
to
the
master paper. Yeah.
So what you need to do is first correlate your set with the question paper that they have provided, and then start marking the answer.
That's very important.
It's a bit of tedious process. It's excruciating on the mind because it's your future that you are calculating. But again, just make sure that you save yourself from that 70.
Otherwise, this one silly mistake can really give you anxiety till the results come out.
Absolutely. That it's a very important thing to make sure of. That's one thing that I would say. For anyone who is giving CLAT next year or maybe next year, just one thing that I'd say is that you read as much as you can, and just focus on developing skills. Because if you have the right skills, you will be able to crack the paper. It's not majorly a knowledge paper. It's
Absolutely,
more
it's an
focused
aptitude
towards having
paper.
the right skill, the judicious use of time, like you said. So these two part, and the third most important thing is right guidance. So if you have the right guidance, someone there to support you, like Mudit was there to support me and to guide me through all the steps of the journey, that really helped me a lot. So again, it's reading, having good skills, and a proper guidance.
And I feel, being an aptitude paper, cracking CLAT paper is not the end game, because you have to survive in law school. So the skills of reading that you pick up right now will really sail you through law school and help you there as well.
Absolutely. I think that is one thing that I really love about the new CLAT pattern, is that it prepares you very well for law school.
Correct.
So that is a very good point about CLAT, that actually whatever you will face in the future will give you just a little glimpse of it, but it will help
right.
you immensely.
Right. Great. That I think was a very good closing advice from you, Arnav. Thank you so much for joining our session today. And with this, we bring this session to a close. And in case any of you would like to approach us for any personal guidance, mentoring sessions, mock test series, question banks, or even compendiums, GK compendiums and study material, please feel free to do so. You can DM us on Instagram or email us, and we will be sharing all our touch points with you for easy communication. Thank you once again, everyone, for joining us. And we look forward to having, more interactive sessions with you and taking you on this journey of cracking CLAT and IELT. So have a good evening.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Arnav. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.